Welcome back to the channel where we remember the stars who once lit up our screens and became part of our lives. Today, we look back at one of television's most iconic shows, Charlie's Angels, and the unforgettable actors who helped make it a legend. But time has moved on, and many of the faces we once cheered for are sadly no longer with us. Some were leading stars, others appeared for just a single episode, but every one of them brought something real to the story, something that stayed with the audience long after the credits rolled. In this tribute, we gently honor the lives and final days of the actors from Charlie's Angels who have passed away, remembering not just how they died, but how brightly they once lived. Farrah Fawcett died on June 25, 2009, at the age of 62, after a long and heartbreaking battle with cancer. She was best known for playing Jill Munroe, the blonde, fearless, and unforgettable private investigator in the first season of Charlie's Angels. That role alone turned her into a global icon almost overnight. With her signature feathered hair and magnetic smile, Farrah stood out even among the already glamorous cast, and millions fell in love with her charm, both on and off screen. But behind the fame, her life was filled with personal struggles, pain, and ultimately, immense courage. She left Charlie's Angels after just one season, despite the massive success, partly due to financial and creative differences, but also because she longed to be taken seriously as an actress. And she proved everyone wrong. She went on to star in powerful roles like The Burning Bed and Extremities, earning Emmy and Golden Globe nominations for portraying women in unthinkable pain. But in 2006, Farrah's world changed when she was diagnosed with anal cancer. She fought it quietly at first, then with fierce bravery in public, letting cameras document her final journey in the emotional documentary Farrah's Story. She sought alternative treatments in Germany, hoping to buy more time, and even on her sickest days, she kept filming, determined to help others. Her longtime partner Ryan O'Neal stayed by her side, but her final days were painful and complex, filled with family complications and quiet heartbreak. When Farrah passed away in a Santa Monica hospital, just hours before Michael Jackson's death dominated headlines, her own story was nearly lost in the noise. But for those who loved her, Farrah was never just a poster or a pretty face. She was a fighter, an artist, and a woman who never stopped trying to live life her way. She's buried in Los Angeles, next to comedian Rodney Dangerfield, but her legacy still shines every time someone remembers Jill Munroe or watches her powerful performances. Farrah Fawcett was a real angel, not just on TV, but in the way she faced her own end, with honesty, strength, and heartbreaking grace. L.Q. Jones, who passed away peacefully from natural causes on July 9, 2022, at the age of 94, was one of those unforgettable faces in American film and television, especially known to fans of classic westerns. In Charlie's Angels, he made a memorable appearance that added his signature rugged charm to the series. Just one stop in a legendary career that spanned over 5 decades. But perhaps his most iconic role was as the depraved bounty hunter TC in Sam Peckinpah's The Wild Bunch, a chilling, twisted character who found a disturbing kind of joy in violence, brought vividly to life through Jones' deep understanding of what made villains tick. Born Justice Ellis McQueen Jr. in Beaumont, Texas, LQ faced tragedy early, losing his mother in a car accident. Raised by relatives and seasoned by tough Texas rodeo life, he found his way from the Navy to college and eventually into Hollywood, all thanks to a hand-drawn map from his college roommate, Fess Parker. His first role in Battle Cry 1955 introduced him to the name LQ Jones, which he adopted permanently. Over the years, he became a staple in Sam Peckinpah's gritty worlds, with standout performances in Ride the High Country, Major Dundee, Pat Garrett, and Billy the Kid, and The Ballad of Cable Hogue. He was a regular face in TV westerns too, from Gunsmoke to The Virginian, where he played ranch hand Andy Belden in 25 episodes. Off-screen, Jones also left a mark behind the camera with the cult sci-fi classic A Boy and His Dog 1975, which he directed, co-wrote, and produced. That film, with its brutal post-apocalyptic satire, inspired even George Miller's Mad Max. Jones had a wicked sense of humor, a tough presence, and a love for playing complex, bad guys that left a lasting impression. His final role was in A Prairie Home Companion 2006, bringing his career full circle with dignity. Surrounded by his family in his Hollywood Hills home, LQ Jones left this world with the same quiet strength that defined so many of his roles, one of the last true cowboys of cinema. Norman Alden passed away on July 27, 2012, at the age of 87 from natural causes, bringing an end to one of the quietest yet most impactful careers in Hollywood history. He was best remembered for playing Coach Leroy Fetters in the dark and offbeat 1970s series Mary Hartman, where his character's tragic and almost absurd death, drowning in a bowl of chicken soup, left audiences stunned and heartbroken. That strange moment somehow summed up the brilliance of Alden's work. He could make even the oddest scene feel painfully human. He also made memorable guest appearances in Charlie's Angels, where his performances, though brief, stood out for their emotional weight and realism. Norman was the kind of actor who never overacted, he simply felt real. In animation, he became the original voice of Aquaman in the Super Friends cartoon, and decades later voiced the doomed Kranix in the Transformers. The movie, delivering a sense of fear and urgency in just a few lines. He even had a small but memorable role as Lou, the friendly diner owner in Back to the Future, showing his natural warmth on screen. Born in Fort Worth, Texas, in 1924, Norman served in World War II before finding his passion for acting at Texas Christian University. Over the next 50 years, he racked up more than 2,500 roles across film, television, voiceover, and commercials, a staggering number that reflected not only his talent, but his deep work ethic and humility. Despite rarely being in the spotlight, he was deeply respected by directors, producers, and fellow actors who knew they could count on him to deliver every single time. In his final years, he lived quietly in an assisted living facility in Los Angeles, surrounded by the memories of a lifetime in front of the camera. He passed away peacefully and was buried at Hollywood Forever Cemetery. Norman Alden often referred to himself as America's favorite unknown actor, and maybe that's true, but for those who paid attention, he was unforgettable. He wasn't just filling space on screen, he was bringing real people to life, and his work continues to live on in the hearts of those who saw him. Tanya Roberts, the vibrant actress who lit up screens as Julie Rogers in the final season of Charlie's Angels, passed away on January 4, 2021, at the age of 65, after a tragic medical emergency that stunned fans around the world. Tanya, born Victoria Lee Bloom in New York, had lived a life full of bold choices and emotional turns, from her early days as a rebellious teenager who married young and hitchhiked across America, to becoming a self-made actress who studied with legends like Lee Strasberg and UTA Hagen. But it was her role as Julie Rogers in Charlie's Angels in 1980 that gave her a true breakthrough. Stepping in as the final angel, she brought a tough, street-smart edge that gave the show its last breath of life before it ended. Though the series was canceled within a year, Tanya made her mark and went on to star in cult classics like The Beastmaster, Sheena, Queen of the Jungle, and famously as Bond girl Stacey Sutton alongside Roger Moore in A View to a Kill. Later, a whole new generation came to know her as Midge Pinchoti, the sweet yet spacey mom on that 70s show. Behind her glamorous screen presence was a woman full of life, an animal lover, a dedicated wife to screenwriter Barry Roberts until his death, and later a devoted partner to Lance O'Brien. But her death came far too soon, and in a way that left the public shocked. On December 24, 2020, while out walking her dogs, she collapsed at home, and days later, it was revealed that a simple urinary tract infection had turned into deadly sepsis, leading to multi-organ failure. She was placed on a ventilator, and due to strict COVID-19 hospital rules, her partner Lance wasn't initially allowed to visit. When her condition worsened, he was finally brought in, only to witness her fade before his eyes. In a heartbreaking mix-up, Tanya was mistakenly declared dead a day before she actually passed, causing even more confusion and pain. When the truth was confirmed on the night of January 4th, the loss felt even heavier. Tanya Roberts wasn't just a beautiful face from the 80s. She was a fighter, a dreamer, and someone who truly loved life. Her tragic final days, filled with isolation, confusion, and pain, make her passing even more heartbreaking. She leaves behind memories of fierce characters, glowing beauty, and a quiet strength that fans will never forget. Gene Barry, the sharp and stylish actor who once lit up screens during a golden era of television, passed away on December 9, 2009, at the age of 90, after battling Alzheimer's disease in his final years. In the world of Charlie's Angels, Gene played the role of Damon Ladd in the episode titled Disco Angels, where his smooth, commanding presence added a touch of classic sophistication to the undercover world the Angels stepped into. Even though it was just one episode, Barry's performance left a strong impression. He had a way of taking over a scene with just his voice and expression, making even a guest role feel unforgettable. Born Eugene Class in 1919 in New York City, Gene was raised by Russian Jewish immigrant parents and showed a deep passion for music from an early age. After a childhood filled with violin lessons and dreams of classical performance, a football injury led him to shift his focus toward acting and singing. He found success on Broadway, but it was television that made him a household name. He became a legend in roles like Bat Masterson, the cane-wielding gentleman gunfighter, Amos Burke, the millionaire homicide detective in Burke's Law, and Glenn Howard, the powerful publisher in The Name of the Game. In every role, Barry brought a unique combination of charm, confidence, and class. He also starred in the original War of the Worlds in 1953 and appeared briefly in Spielberg's 2005 remake, a full-circle moment for a career that spanned over 5 decades. Off-screen, Gene was a devoted husband and father, married to his wife Betty for 58 years until her death in 2003. After losing her, he never remarried, and his own final years were spent quietly as his health faded and Alzheimer's slowly took its toll. But even in silence, his legacy remained strong. His role in Charlie's Angels may have been brief, but it captured everything fans loved about him: his presence, his class, and his ability to elevate any story he stepped into. Gene Barry didn't just act. He made you feel like you were watching someone real, someone unforgettable. And that's exactly how we'll remember him. Lynne Marta, the American actress and singer best remembered by Charlie's Angels fans for one of her many guest appearances on the show, died on January 11, 2024, at the age of 78 after a long and private battle with cancer. In Charlie's Angels, she portrayed various supporting characters across the show's run, adding charm and depth in her brief but memorable moments. But Lynne's journey in Hollywood was much broader. She was a familiar face throughout the 60s, 70s, and 80s, showing up in countless beloved series like Love, American Style, The FBI, Starsky and Hutch, and Law and Order. Born in Somerville, New Jersey, on October 30, 1945, she was the younger daughter of George Marta, who served as New Jersey's Commissioner of Air and Water Pollution. Lynne started young on the teen dance show The Lloyd Thaxton Show, and over time, she built a steady career as a guest star on some of the biggest TV hits of the era. On the big screen, she stood out in Joe Kidd opposite Clint Eastwood and as Lulu Warnicker in Footloose, where she played Kevin Bacon's conservative aunt who opposed dancing. Off-screen, Lynne lived a life full of quiet intensity. She had an open relationship with actor David Soul during the Starsky and Hutch years. He heartbreakingly passed away just 1 week before her. And in 1989, she became an unexpected witness to tragedy when she was home during the murder of actress Rebecca Sheffer, a traumatic moment that stayed with her forever. Through it all, Lynne remained grounded, an artist who loved her craft, her friends, and even her cat, Mr. Peaches. Her voice, once heard in musical performances on TV and in a duet with David Soul, now lives on only in memory. Lynne Marta was not just a guest star, she was part of the fabric of classic television, and her death marks the passing of a quietly iconic era.